How we doing tonight, everyone? Welcome to National Signing Day. I am Brian Smith with another edition of the Daily Night. My host, or co-host, as I should say, is with me, and it has been a long, long day. Andrew, welcome once again to the show. I tell you what, man, we're just going to analyze Florida and Miami. Thank God Florida State didn't have a big day too, and UCF didn't, because I don't think I would have survived. It's just it's been a long day for a lot of reasons, but you know what happened today with the kids just going everywhere,
Yeah,
and surprise after surprise. I get a phone call, yeah, so and so is going to go here, then they don't.
yeah.
Makes it
It's
hard
pretty,
to prepare for shows. I
yeah,
was
right.
literally scrambling up until the point we did the
Until
show. We're
right
doing
now,
it at
I'm
9:30 at
scrambling
night.
notes before we even started.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it
One of those
is.
days.
Yeah, man. So the reason I wanted to talk about Miami and Florida is twofold. Number one, we talked about a lot. This state hasn't even remotely met expectations collectively for a very long time. Florida State was good about 8 to 12 years ago in that range. They were really good. But since then, honestly, the state of Florida has just been a roller coaster. UCF's had a few moments, obviously. Florida was pretty darn good last year.
Yeah.
Florida State is completely fallen off the map. In Miami, they're basically a team that it's week to week, and
Mediocre. Very mediocre.
that's being nice.
Yeah.
Get this other phone off; it's going to drive me nuts. Um, it really needs to get going, and the way you do that is you recruit better.
Mm,
It's the one surefire thing is to get more talent,
yeah.
because as of the last 10 years, 60% of the top, say 100 kids leave the state. It used to be flipped in even more. It used to be 65, 70% of at least the top 50 would stay in the state.
Yeah.
That has completely changed.
Mm-mm.
Now, UCF has joined the fray, and so has USF, and they help, but still the elite players, a lot of them, like Shamar Stewart today, signed with Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Now, I think there was some reason for him going there that I'm not going to really delve into too much.
The
But
SEC recruits Florida hard.
yeah, they do.
Alabama, those guys. You
Yeah,
know that.
but it's a little more than that. But anyway, the point is this: for this state to get back to at least some level of dominance,
Yeah.
there has to be a different level of recruiting.
Yeah.
Billy Napier had some pretty. We'll go over it in a minute. We'll do them second. Miami first. Billy Napier had some good players today, but like they didn't get Shamar Stewart, they didn't get Harold
No.
Perkins. They're trying to get different guys. And I'll even talk about a specific kid in the state that he didn't go visit, which is
No.
bizarre. But yet he got other really good players. It's just I have a hard time following Florida recruiting. It's very weird. Miami, on the other hand, they got a kid that everybody wanted and nobody expected them to get. And that's why recruiting is, quite frankly, it's its own
interesting.
entity.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Running back out of Louisiana that every school in the country wanted.
Yeah. We'll talk about him a little bit.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, I did not see that coming. I thought they would come in third or fourth. They got it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
yeah. Even with the coaching staff problems,
exactly. Yeah, like
football been
Miami
there a
has
few
three.
weeks. Yeah.
They have like 3 assistants on staff right now.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
exactly.
horrific. And they still get a
Still
top
get some
out of
guys.
Louisiana that A&M wanted and was previously committed to, and LSU desperately wanted, and he's in their backyard.
But what does that tell you about Cristobal, though? He's establishing relationships.
Oh, yeah. People
He
like
wants
him.
to, and he knows these in-state schools, they have to, win recruiting in the state of Florida. That's going to be the key thing to his success as a coach in Miami.
I thought that he would get Shamar Stewart.
Didn't
get him.
Yeah,
I thought
with no coach
would get TreVonte Citizen. They didn't get him. He went to Miami. Like I didn't get hardly anything right. I thought Harold Perkins would go to Texas A&M. Everybody was talking about it. He pulls out the hat and puts it down. Then he puts on the LSU. I mean, I got nothing right.
That adds on to the crazy days. So.
Yeah. So it is what it is with recruiting. So I'm just going to stick within the state. UCF didn't sign anybody. I don't think Florida State did either. And quite frankly, I'm not concerned about what USF did. They're a portal school right now because they can't get the kids they want out of high school. That's just true.
That's a reality.
Yep, they're not. They've got the quarterback to kind of move their program.
Yeah, the quarterback's okay. It's pretty solid.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
We've seen him, so we know what he can do.
Yeah, from the booth, he was pretty good.
Yeah.
The point
He'll
is
need some
still the
pieces.
same. There's the big three, and then there's one school that's on the move, and that's UCF. Well, USF has to show me something for me to get excited about that. They need to do something on the field next year. But the two schools are going to be Miami and Florida, and we're going to start this way. Since I just prefaced this by saying the running back, his name is TreVonte Citizen. He's a bigger, stronger, traditional running back out of the state of Louisiana, which, again, I thought Miami would come in third or fourth for him.
Yeah.
Like Florida really wanted him. LSU, I mean, they have to.
Auburn wanted him. Yeah. Michigan. You got a lot of offers.
Yeah, I mean, he could have picked 20 schools, but he was down to 4, and he picked the one that I thought was going to come in dead last.
And what's interesting is Miami running back group is already loaded. So I don't know.
They got good players. They got the Rooster down there. They got speed,
So I don't know what made that decision for him. I don't know.
Where he is from in Southwest Louisiana, there's only one school, and that's LSU. Like if you wear another like a flag on your truck that's not LSU, they will shoot it. You know what I mean? They'll set it on fire.
You got the Raging Cajuns. You got the Raging Cajuns, right? Oh boy.
Yeah, I mean, I went to grad school at LSU briefly. There's a reason it was briefly. Those people are crazy. That's true. I left because they were nuts.
They're true down south.
And this kid spurned him and goes to Miami. Yeah. If he'd have went and stayed in the SEC, went to Florida, because Napier's got connections, that's one thing. Or A&M, where he'd he went all the way down to Miami.
He went all the way down to Miami.
They got 3 coaches on their staff under this guy. So
with that loaded
he's 215, 220.
I'm looking at his
he can make you miss, but he is a traditional 1988 SEC running back that you'd have seen at Georgia or LSU or Auburn. Because right now, like you said, they got depth at Miami at running back, but he's the bigger dude to kind of come.
And you kind of put right.
Run this between is a kid that can play at any school in the country, and I was like, okay. So again, to your point, if you sign kids like that, it changes it. But it also makes it a little easier for UCF. This is why I'm bringing up these two schools.
Yeah.
How they can do against them next year. They're going to say, well, they got the Citizen kid. They got just as good a players we did, if not better. It's going to make in-state recruiting a little better for UCF because next year in this state, running back is the two best that I think in the country are in Florida. I don't know if UCF really got a chance at either one because it's so early, but that's something to think about. The other 3 kids, that Miami got, they're good. One of which I think has one of the highest ceilings I've ever seen, and I've seen him play a couple times. And that's Matthew McCoy, the offensive tackle. UCF tried to get in on him late. Florida, this is the part where it gets kind of weird. Florida was his favorite forever. He grew up a Gator fan. Billy did not go see him. The reason he signed with Miami, I don't understand that.
He got no love from Billy?
You got to go by the kid's school.
You got to, man.
Yeah, I'm confused again. He's a very odd recruiter to me. I'm not a big fan. Some other guys are. I am not.
And he's right there in St. Augustine too. So
he lives like an hour and 40 minutes away.
Yeah.
So why would you not go? And his upside is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
But
6'6", 285.
Yeah, he played tight end up until this year. He had no offers. Then he got like 10 offers in like 10 days. It was crazy. And we're not talking about like Albany State. We're talking Florida State. So whatever.
Did he have an impressive camp, or what was it? Do you think that shot his recruiting up?
Nothing. He'd been a pretty good athlete at tight end, but he fought playing offensive line until they finally convinced him to do it this year. They sent out a few clips and a few guys came by, and it was
that film probably did it for him.
Oh yeah. So
that size, 6'6", 285, can probably go up to 320, 330.
The other kid this is wild because the state of Alabama is hard to recruit. Cristobal dipped into Miami, their war, if you will, or something. I don't know what it, but for a kid from Alabama, I don't get it. Inez Cooper from Pleasant Grove, it's a tradition-rich program. He could have picked anybody in the SEC pretty much. I mean, not anybody, but pretty much. He picked Miami.
Man.
I did not see that coming either. So Cristobal played O-line at Miami. He's an O-line guy.
Big guy.
So, yeah. And this kid is
he's
6'6",
350 right now. He's ready to oh man. He's look at his Instagram, guys.
Yeah, I know it's pretty big. But he's the kind of guy that will make a pancake house go out of business. But,
Watch out, IHOP.
I've seen him play a little bit. I think he'll end up inside until he
Okay.
kind of reshapes his body.
Yeah.
But if he wants to play power football, he got TreVonte Citizen out of Louisiana, and he got this kid out of Alabama. That's a pretty good start.
Man,
then they
two
got
out-of-state kids.
Yeah. Then they got a kid that this is where Miami failed with the last staff. Cardinal Gibbons won state championship again in their division 4 or 5A. I forget what it was.
Mhm.
They got Ahmad Moten,
Yes,
defensive lineman. That's what Miami is famous for, is D-line.
Yeah.
Their D-line, they've had some decent individual players who are not good units, not enough balance. Getting a guy that's 6'3", 290 who can play multiple spots on the D-line, that will help you.
Local kid, too, out of Fort Lauderdale. So you
yeah,
gotta keep
I mean,
him.
for
You
them,
gotta keep him.
he lives closer probably to the stadium where they play
Yeah.
than Miami's campuses and stuff. I mean, it's going to be convenient for him.
Yeah.
That was a big pickup because if Miami's going to get any level of consistency in their program, they have to start finding a way to get kids that are local to go there.
That's the big.
Period.
That's going to be key for Cristobal.
Yeah, this is another kid that could have signed, out of state, could have went to Tennessee or
Mississippi
State or whatever. Yeah. So getting big bodies like this is a good sign for them. And I'm kind of curious, how did they do that with 3 dudes on the assistant coaching staff?
Yeah,
I know Cristobal was tremendous as a recruiter. That's not any newsflash.
Yeah,
but I'll give him a lot of credit. Oh, absolutely.
I think they just snagged the defense. I don't know if it was a defensive assistant or a defensive coordinator, but I think they just snagged one.
Oh, did they? Well, because they signed a receiver coach, and a couple of days later, he left for Georgia. He wasn't there a week.
Yeah,
I don't think. I'm like, my God. So it's the coaching carousel is still
it's up and down. Yeah.
And I haven't even hit the word Harbaugh on Twitter yet today because that is ugly. I was following that some yesterday. There were some nasty comments out there.
Yeah, I believe so because he's playing with people's minds. He said he's not going. He's not taking any interest. But
that guy, he visited Minnesota on the day of National Signing Day.
On the signing day. Oh, that's ugly.
He's trying to tick off the people that are the administration in Michigan that took away part of his salary after last year. Period. Everybody says.
I know they beat him last year, but he might just be tired of living up to that. I got to beat Ohio State.
Oh, it's probably aggravating. Yeah, it's not an easy job coaching in Michigan. So
you can win every game, but you don't beat those guys, you're going to catch hell on. So every social media account.
No, that's fact.
Yeah,
that's fact. The other school here, and this one it's a lot more complex,
more difficult,
is Florida. Yeah. Miami finished very strong. Like their talent they got was really, really good. Yeah, Florida's a weirder deal. They got more kids, and what you and I were talking about him before the show. They got Shamar James in the early signing period, etc. Travis Etienne's younger brother, a Louisiana kid, doesn't go to LSU, etc. Doesn't follow his brother's footsteps and go to Clemson.
Nope.
Signs with the Gators.
I think he wants to make a name for himself. He doesn't want to follow that shadow.
I wondered about some guys are like that. I've had a few guys tell me in the past, like, hey, my brother's All-American Ohio State. I'm going to go here, or I'll go to Notre Dame because my brother went to Michigan. Whatever, that's fine.
Yeah,
and he's a really good player. But I was surprised.
I was too.
I
don't know what Dabo. Well, we know Dabo Sweeney. He has. I don't know what he got going on up there. He doesn't like the transfer portal at all. So I don't know. I don't know if he didn't bring him in. I don't know if he recruited him hard enough. But Florida likes to bring in running backs anyway. So probably Jack
Pyburn. This is one of my favorite players in the state of Florida.
Yeah,
played at the bowl school. He's a kid that technically is about as sound as it gets, and he's a very violent player.
Yeah,
he comes after it hard. I like him as a good player at the college. I don't know if he'll be a pro guy. I don't know if he get big enough, but he's so well coached. I think he could play early. I just don't think his ceiling's really high.
Jacksonville guy. Yeah. How's that competition at that? I think it's at Bowles. It says the Bowles.
The Bowles school is. Yeah. I mean, it's like 4A or whatever. They've had really good programs for a long time. Mac, that played at Alabama a couple of years ago, almost won the Heisman. It's with the Patriots. That's where he played.
Okay.
But he's just really well coached. And I think Napier is looking for guys that are soldiers, if you will, that just do what they're told. Good luck with that in Florida, by the way. Jack Pyburn is going to be one of the few, but yeah, that's not how this state works. I got news for Napier there. That's not going to fly. But they got a lot of good kids. The next kid is Caleb Douglas. I don't know anything about him, but I know the area he's from. Southwest Houston area is loaded. Of course, he was at the University of Louisiana, so you got to recruit Houston. He knows all those kids.
Yeah.
And that was a nice win for them.
He's a big wide receiver, or a bigger wide receiver.
6'3", 185, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I don't know a ton about it. I just think from a perspective,
right?
If you're going to be Florida, you eventually got to recruit here. But if you're going to go out of state, you're going to get Houston kids.
Yeah, that's football right there. As you know.
Yeah. I mean, Houston, that's a really big deal. The next kid is the one that is oddball. The state of Florida and the Southeast is where they recruit. They got a kid out of the state of Washington.
Oh,
I know nothing about this kid.
We can't pronounce his last name.
Savalina, I ought to say, but he's a pretty good sized kid. That's random, and if you get one or two kids like that, that's fine.
Man.
But it's just getting a kid from Washington and you're the Gators is a bit different.
Well, his film had to, jump out at something. He has to be.
Yeah, for you to go all the way up there.
Oh yeah, for take that trip.
Yeah,
come on.
The Gators wanted to get bigger, and they certainly did it with the next kid. That's Jalen Farmer. Covington, Georgia is not that far from Atlanta, but this kid's massive. Listed at 325. I think he's a little above that.
Listed.
Yeah, I think that there's been pancakes eaten since then. If you see pictures of him, he's a really big kid. He'll probably be a guard.
Yeah.
But if you're going to battle what Georgia and Auburn and Tennessee and Mississippi State and, of course, Alabama put on the field at nose guard and D tackle, you got to have a couple 320-plus kids.
Yeah, of course.
So, I mean, maybe this kid does or doesn't pan out. I don't know. But I understand the philosophy, and I totally agree with it. You got to get some big uns, and he is definitely one of those.
He's a big one.
The kid that I'm interested in because he plays at a great program from Oxford, it's just a little bit east of Birmingham, and that is Miguel Mitchell. I don't know what spot they're going to play him at. I would imagine he's going to end up at strong safety or linebacker. Okay. Those kids from that area, football is life and death. I stayed there last fall once. It's a big deal. And again, they're dipping into Alabama to get kids. That's a good sign. It's a good sign.
He did better than Gus in Alabama. So
yeah, well, they didn't get a high school kid. That's a concern.
Gus didn't get any guys from Alabama. So
the other kid they got out of the Southwest Houston area is Christian Williams. It's the same area, but it's the other school, Marshall. Another 320-plus pound kid for their interior O-line. Again, a big theory they have. We need to get bigger. Again, agree. Yeah. So they got two of those guys.
Well, they're going to run the ball a lot more with Richardson, next season. So
I think so too.
Yeah,
they got to make him the quarterback, right? They got to figure that out.
Come on, man.
Yeah, I would think so.
Napier won't be there that long if he doesn't. Sorry, but
yeah, that's not going to work out well. The quarterback they had committed, they told him they were going to bring in another guy, and it ticked him off. And he went to Oklahoma. Now, the kid they go and get, I know nothing about this kid. He's from some small school in Oklahoma. I don't know. This is where I'm just going to make a general statement, and I'll say this first, prefacing. I have not watched this kid's film, but I didn't even know who he was. There aren't many kids I don't know who they are coming early February.
Right.
His name is Max Brown. He's at Lincoln Christian School in Tulsa. Yeah. I've never heard of it. No. If you're going to play in the SEC East and you want to compete with Georgia, and maybe this kid's great, I don't know. Plays at a small school, probably got no pub.
Right.
You can't let the stud walk away and then take some no-name kid and then it not work out and not expect Gator fans to be all over. Yeah.
No, I
hope the kid's good. It'd be a great story.
Honestly, I think the backlash would have been even worse if he didn't get this kid because I don't think they got a QB.
Oh, yeah. He went over? Yeah.
They didn't have one last year either, so that would have been 0 for 2 2 years in a row, so that would have been tough.
Yeah. They got a kid at kicker, which I'm not even going to go into, and then they got a kid from Weatherford, Texas, which is basically Dallas. That's a tight end. They kind of filled roster spots and they brought in some talent. But again, I think the overall theme here is I need soldiers. We're going to do it my way.
Yeah.
He coached under Dabo and then he coached under Saban. The way he's doing this, he's
Oh.
taking a much more Saban approach because Dabo's more open-ended on this.
Yeah.
But you're in a program that just fired its coach. You're not at Alabama where you can get away with that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious to see if you can do that with Florida kids in particular. And maybe he's going to take over half his roster from outside the state. Because I'm telling you now, that's not going to work with kids in this state. It's just not.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious. Like, yeah,
you know how Florida
kids
kids operate.
Yeah, they're not going to do it. They're not. The transfer portal will be open.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but they got a lot of kids from Louisiana.
Yeah,
Texas.
I think he did pretty solid, man.
They got a kid from Washington.
Yeah,
it's fascinating, and I'll have to dive into some film, and I may look at some of this, but
with all that was going on with Dan Mullen, he did
I mean, they still got good guys, and the other thing with them, they got 6 transfers.
Yeah, that can be a whole other part, but they got some solid guys coming in, but besides the recruits.
3 kids from the school he was at, and then the other 3 from Auburn, Georgia, and Ohio State.
Yes, sir.
So, I mean, they got some talented players.
Dogs, too.
I'm just curious if that's going to be enough, in a sense, to satisfy, and this is almost unfair to say because it's almost every fan base now. Florida fans will expect them to be 9-3 at worst next year.
Yeah.
They're not going 9-3. They're not.
I think Florida fans expect a SEC bid, a championship bid every year.
Yeah, it's not really.
They're used to that.
Whenever, it doesn't matter the circumstance, but when you implement a new staff, a new system, a new style of living, all that, there are going to be pieces that are missed, and it's nothing to do with Napier. A lot of guys that won championships their first or second year, they were terrible. Dave Aranda last year won 2 games at Baylor. 2. They won the Big 12 this year. It's just part of the process.
Yeah.
Fans don't like hearing that very well, especially when they donate money. But that's still how it works. So you have to really kind of look at the big picture. Do I like their class? Yes. Am I still puzzled? Yes. So I just wish they would have gotten a better quarterback. And this is time for my annual real quick speech. Every recruiting class needs to be ranked based on the quarterback first. I don't know who that guy is.
No.
That's a problem. It's just true. And I'm looking at their list, and there's no player that I know a ton about. They got a transfer quarterback they're high on, but he didn't play yet. He was the Ohio State guy, highly rated, but I don't know what he's going to do. But at least you get Jack Miller is his name, and you get this other kid. Maybe Miller plays and the other kid comes along slowly, and that would be perfect. But it would be nice to get both the elite players that transfer and from the high school level.
That'll be good for them to compete against each other, sitting under Richardson and Emory. So, because we know
do you think Emory's going to stick around after spring?
I don't think so. I don't think that'll be the best thing for him. I thought he would have been left.
Yeah, I mean, I could see him at South Alabama. I could see him at
anywhere like that. He will succeed. Maybe even at HBCU, he will succeed.
Oh yeah, I mean, he could go to
Yeah,
maybe he goes and sees a certain guy. I won't even say his name because he annoys me right now. A certain guy in Jackson, Mississippi.
Yes, sir. But he has some options, but I don't think he should stay in Gainesville.
Man, the fans were really harsh on Emory at the end of last year. I would understand if he moved on.
I mean, especially in that Gasparilla Bowl, UCF fans seen it as well. He'll miss some guys and he'll force a bad throw down the middle of the field. So
he missed 2 or 3 touchdowns. He just did. He was bad.
And my nose definitely seen it because we had a night and day. We had Emory Jones in there, terrible, making mistakes, and they put Richardson in, and he just ran all over us. It was tough.
Richardson is a
man. That's a badass dude right there.
He's 235, and he is downhill.
He reminds me of the Tebow.
Oh, he's white
with a better arm.
Yeah, I stood next to him. He was at a high school game, and I was like, "Oh God, that's a quarterback." Yeah, he's a big dude.
Man, that guy's humongous.
So the last point on this before we wrap it up, UCF's class was already done. They didn't get Leighton Nelson. If you hadn't seen, he committed yesterday to Vanderbilt, and I'd heard about that. The reason I'm going over Florida and I'm going over Miami, I wanted to see what these coaches could do in short order.
Yeah.
And to be honest, they did pretty well. They got A, quality, B, they got some depth, etc., positions of need, the whole 9 yards. Like Florida needed size. Okay. They went and got two guys over 320. They got some big old guys.
Yeah.
The only question now is this. Can they play early? Can they coach them up? And that's always the game of football. It's very complex. They got talent, but they also are in the SEC East with Georgia. They're a little better.
Right.
And I'm being kind. So it's, Georgia's roster is just way better than Florida's right now. So how long do you think Florida's fans are going to give him to beat Georgia? What do you say? Let's have more fun with this.
No, I definitely won't be this year or the next. Because like we talked about the whole podcast, this was a unique situation with two in-state Power 5 schools, two new coaching staffs. True. Got a solid recruiting class, but they lost some guys. They lost to Kyle Pitts. Yeah. They lost to quarterback Trash. So they're still trying to rebuild from that solid season. I'll give them, man, Georgia's rolling, Brian. You know that. And their recruiting classes are at the top right now. I'll give them 2 years, or I'll give them 2 years, or at 3 at most.
Well, that's fine. But here's the other part.
Let me hear it.
If they get trounced, let's say 38-13 next year, I think that this is just generic. This is nothing against Billy Napier. Fans are not realistic.
Yes. We know
I like to mention the point that fan is short for fanatic, and that's literally what it is.
Yeah.
And there's no nice way to say this. Most fans do not have a clue how college football really works. And that's a lot of them probably watching this podcast that think they understand recruiting and all the things that go on behind this. They have not a clue.
Difficult.
They're about less than 0.1% of the people on the planet really understand. It is complex. A lot of bad things going on behind the scenes. And one kid can change your program to a certain degree. If it's a quarterback like Caleb Williams just transferred to USC, do you think their stock in Vegas just went up? Yeah.
Of course.
It did. But Florida and Miami, I'm not saying I want them to beat UCF because I don't like either one of them, but we do need them to be better and the state to be better. And kids respect the state more.
Yeah. There you go.
We need them both to be 7-5 bottom end. Because like right now, Florida and Miami, you had no idea at the end of this year what you were getting in the month of November. You had no idea. Because both coaching staffs were on the ropes. Everybody was saying they're getting fired. They both did. Yeah. Myself being like, all the Miami fans were yelling at me all year. And when I said Cristobal, maybe he'll come there because they're going to fire their coach. Well, guess what? The last guy was just terrible. He's a clown. But now they've got a chance to be on solid footing. And hopefully we can see Miami in a bowl game against UCF, etc.
Yeah.
But it leads into recruiting for next year. These kids, it gives Florida a little momentum, gives Miami some momentum.
Yeah, honestly.
But we also get to see the test when these schools now battle because, everybody knew Cristobal was going to recruit well.
Yeah.
And if you didn't, you don't know anything about Cristobal. He loves it. He doesn't like recruiting. He loves recruiting. And eventually he'll have a staff. For people who don't know, he's missing like 7 guys on his staff, which is just incredible to get anybody today. And yet he got 2 or 3 guys that could have went anywhere in the country. So
let me turn the questions around on you. And it's about Cristobal because we know the ACC has been down, Florida State, obviously my nose has been down. Clemson's lost a lot of guys. Dabo's been down. It's been Wake Forest and, North Carolina State's been running the conference here lately. So, it's kind of open right now. How many years do you give Cristobal to maybe compete for that ACC championship game?
Well, actually, next year is kind of an interesting one because he's got a rare talent at quarterback. Yeah. That band, I love that kid.
Yes, sir.
Dude, he can spin it.
He can sling it.
He plays really well throughout next year. He'll probably leave. So it's kind of feast or famine. Nobody knew he was going to be that good. That kid's from Connecticut or something. That's random. Sometimes you walk into one.
He came out of nowhere. Trust me. I was like,
he's one of my favorite players to watch.
Yeah.
Because he's got the guts to throw it in a small window.
Yeah.
So if they do, but here's the good thing. If let's say they go 10-2 next year, I'm just, hypothetical. I doubt it because again, first year it's unlikely.
Yeah.
But if you got that guy at quarterback,
it's possible.
And he could play for Georgia or anybody. He's really good. But they're in the ACC. It's a little easier. It just is.
Flat out.
North Carolina's losing their quarterback. That's their prime competition.
Yeah.
Maybe they could make it there and play Clemson or somebody like that in the ACC title. I have no idea, but I do know it helps to have a guy that's an NFL player behind center.
Yeah.
That is what they have. So,
and they're adding pieces around him, so like we talked
hopefully, like TreVonte Citizen will play.
Yeah.
He's the running back out of Louisiana. He will play. They'll find a way to use him. He is a downhill right now, 1 foot in the ground, get north and south and punish the defender kind of guy. So, hey, man, A&M had the best class in the country and they really wanted him. What does that tell you? You know what I mean? That tells you Miami got a dude.
Yeah.
UCF got Jordan McDonald. They're very, very similar players.
That's
one, 6 one way, a half dozen the other. This is fun again. I can do some comparisons like with what UCF, and I will, on some articles coming up, what UCF got. I got to watch some more film, but what UCF got compared to Florida, to Miami at certain spots. Like you and I talked the other day, UCF's running back room is loaded. Like, how does Jordan McDonald play next year?
Right. That's, man.
I mean, like their running back room is Alabama-like in a tradition. They have more depth than Alabama right now, literally.
I think the only
weird. But
only way he plays is if Bowser goes down. I think you got
that's
Bowser.
Why he came back, to be honest.
Yeah, that big three with Bowser, Johnny, and Mark, that's a solid three right there. You got a speedy guy. You got a guy who can do it all. Run, defend, that, and you got a big bruiser guy. So,
and then you got guys like RJ Harvey coming off.
And you got guys.
We don't know. So
Then you can run Ryan on that. Then you can put Amari. It's Gus has a lot of pieces he can move around.
So UCF, I'm going to do some comparative pieces. That's something to think about for people out there. If you have a question about something or want to know, please leave a comment. We'll be happy to answer it. But I'm excited to see these kind of battles because I even put out the last article I put out at Inside the Knights was about one thing. A specific player that's just north of Orlando, plays at Eustis, small school, but he could really run and he's 6'3".
Mm-hmm.
That's how UCF has built their program historically before Gus even got here.
Yeah.
Raw kid, very athletic, makes guys miss in space, even though he's a long, tall kid.
Yep.
That kind of guy you recruit, and then you still try to get a few kids like they did, the Keanis Thompson, the Kai Martinez, the Mari and Jakari Henderson, stuff like that. That's fine. But now you're going to be battling Cristobal.
Yeah.
And he's a recruiter. He might be the best head coach recruiter in the country.
And we haven't mentioned this yet, so let me get my little, my spill out with my Knowles. Don't forget about Mike Norvell up there in Tallahassee, man.
He better win some games this year.
Of course, he's recruiting his ass off though, and I think he didn't do it too well today because they already signed most of their guys.
Yeah, they
already had all. Yeah, for the guys.
As you get your guys.
Yeah, they already had most of their guys, so I think they got a few guys today, just AJ Duffy, a couple other guys to beef up the quarterback room. But man, you got to compete with Florida State as well. So you got Florida State, Florida, and Miami. USF is on the rise, but come on, they got to show us something.
UCF is not going to be concerned about USF.
They shouldn't be. I think they can go in Tampa and get. Well, they already did. They went to Berkeley Prep and got some guys from.
They got two kids that they really wanted. So Duffy signed earlier, by the way. That was a huge get for Florida State.
Man,
he's a good football player. He's a very good football player.
We needed him in the quarterback room, especially with old Mackenzie Milton out of there. It was a great story, guys, but I'm a Noah fan. We didn't need him in there, and Jordan Travis will be out of there after this season. He's more of a running back anyway.
I'm curious to see if Duffy plays a lot this fall.
Man, they should.
He's totally different than Travis.
If it's a blowout game, I'm sorry to cut you off, buddy, but if it's a blowout game, they have to get.
Well, they got to get him in, absolutely,
because he's going to be our guy. And we lost Sam Howell. If anybody's a Noel fan, we lost Sam Howell a couple years ago, so we can't lose a guy. We can't lose a solid quarterback.
When you miss it, that's why I brought up earlier. When you miss it, quarterback.
Yeah, man.
Look at it this way, and we don't know how the coaching would have worked. If Sam comes to Tallahassee,
I was pissed. That changes the whole culture, the dynamics. That changes guys coming in. I want to come play with Sam. Trust me, I was following it that day, and it really hurt. It really sucked. And he had an amazing career at North Carolina. I think he set all the records.
Think of it this way. Nobody knew going into National Signing Day in 2005 where a guy by the name of Tim Tebow was going. It was 50-50 between Alabama and Florida. What if he went to Alabama? Would Urban Meyer's tenure ever really got rolling? You cannot miss at quarterback. And that's why I say again, 50 million times I've talked about this on podcasts and in articles. How you rank a recruiting class starts and ends with quarter. It needs to be at least a third of your grade. And I know a lot of fans get mad about that. Oh, run the ball. That's fine. But if you get a hot quarterback, look at the Georgia-Alabama game. That kid made 3 passes and they scored in the fourth. He just got hot. Is Stetson Bennett really good? No. But he got rolling and he's, the kids made the plays. Quarterback alleviates things and takes players out that were 5-star recruits. It's hike and throw. That 350-pound nose guard that Alabama might have has no impact. You know what I mean? Quarterback play can change that.
Yeah, and out of all the teams in Florida, I think UCF won the quarterback battle, and I think they got their guy.
Well, they got Plum, and as a transfer, and they also got Castellanos, the kid they really targeted early as a high school kid. That's a home run for what Gus Malzahn does. Absolutely.
Yep.
I have no problem. Now, I'm going to give Florida the benefit of the doubt with Jack Miller being a transfer, but he went to Ohio State and he didn't win the job. He barely played.
We haven't seen much.
It's been a couple years. I have no idea what he's going to do now. I have no idea. Mm-hmm. But would it shock me if he ended up being the starter at some point next year? No. It wouldn't.
If he has an arm and he learns that offensive playbook well, maybe he does like a in and out thing with Richardson. Maybe Richardson runs the Wildcat a little bit, because I believe that guy is an X factor, man. And he just has a little bit.
So gifted, it's ridiculous.
He has a little bit of progressions to fix up, and footwork. But man, you put the ball in that guy's hands, it's crazy. I literally watched a lot of Florida games, so I already know what it is.
Yeah. Well, it's late. I'm going to wrap it up, but just to show that I'm an honest guy, I'm not a Florida or Miami guy by any means. Yeah. I give them both a thumbs up on their effort, especially Cristobal. And he had 3 guys on staff.
Only been there a few weeks as well, man.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like that. And I followed recruiting for over 30 years. Yeah. I've worked in the industry in some way, shape, or form over 20. It's bizarre. I've never heard of a staff having 3 guys on signing day. At a major program where, a guy didn't leave like a week before. They fired the coach.
And Miami I think Miami had, I know you hate the rankings, but I think Miami had the highest recruiting class in the state of Florida.
They might have. I mean, if you look at the numbers, that's fine. I look at filling needs in quarterback, and, they got a guy that's really athletic, but he has a long way to go.
The TreVonte kid was probably an amazing signing. Nobody knew he was really going to go there, so that was good for them.
They got Brown out of Valdosta, and he played at Lowndes County, but at Elite 11, he was dead last. So out of 20 kids, he's got arm and all that, but he's just not accurate. So if they can figure that out, that's good. But again, if you do not win at quarterback, meaning, have a guy that in the fourth quarter you can put the game on the line with him, and he's a freak out. He started at Lowndes like he's a freshman. That's a place they don't even play freshmen. Right. And he played quarterback. Yeah. So he's just gotten away with God-given ability.
Yeah. If Miami can get it going, man, they'll start landing some transfer, because who doesn't want to stay in Miami? So
that's what I mean. For a college kid, it's not hard to recruit there.
It shouldn't be.
Not hard. So anyway, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button, hit the notification as well. Yeah. It's kind of fun right now because we've got what I like to call the little whoa coming up. I don't know what the date is for spring ball, but it's probably about 3 to 5 weeks away. Last week of February, first week of March, somewhere in there. We can talk about a billion things, but now we know, okay, Johnny is signed here and this guy signed there, blah, blah, blah. Like the Davin Widener kid who I know I had on my show recently, he's coming to UCF as a walk-on. That's I forgot to. That's a great point. They definitely, because he had Power 5 offers that went away, and then he ends up walking on at UCF. He had no scholarships.
Yeah, really quick. They got
transfer probably at some point, but
I think they got 3. I think they got 3 preferred walk-ons today, and one of them was a 5-star, like #1 ranked long snapper.
Yeah.
So that's how you know UCF is on the rise, though. When you pull in 3 walk-ons today on signing day, so
Yeah,
That's
it's really interesting though, because like this year, all the scholarship crunches have caused things like Widener had an offer from Georgia Tech and different places.
I kind of might want to do something where I ask you, like, how does the transfer portal and maybe that extra COVID year, all of that is affecting high school recruiting, and a lot of guys aren't, getting to go where they want to go. So maybe we'll do something like that. That's the topic right now.
The answer is there's nothing you can do about it. It's just math.
I think it's the new norm now, and kids are going to have to start adjusting.
I had a kid call me today that I did a podcast with earlier, and his buddy's a year older. He's like, "Can you help this kid?" I'm like, "There are no scholarships. What do you want me to say?" I said, "He's going to play D2 or D3. It doesn't matter how good he is. There's no scholarships. That's just math."
And just me, being a brother, Brian, I think some of these kids should really start taking a look into HBCUs because
100%.
They're good.
If you start out there, you can transfer
if you need to. You get a good education.
What the hell's wrong with that? Nothing.
Don't go to I just rather them not, shoot themselves low and go to a D3 or 2 and where they can, get some good playing time at a D1 school and still get a proper education.
Yeah, if you start out at Troy or something, that's great. But if you don't go D1, there's nothing wrong with going to Jacksonville State or something else, whatever, Tuscum, whatever it may be. Yeah. And again, if you play well, you send your film someplace, maybe it works out at Georgia Tech or what, fill in the blank.
That's the discussion anyways. Kids got to weigh in. Hey, I got Alabama looking at me. Facilities, players, look, NFL scouts at every game.
I am not an Alabama guy, but I get it.
Yeah, then I got Jackson State. They're on the rise. I don't know. Alabama.
It's hard to lay off the Alabama claim. If you get an Alabama offer, it means something, even if you hate them.
Yeah,
it's just true. So, all right, everybody, have a great night. Thank you very much. We'll do something. I don't know if I'm going to be traveling some tomorrow, but hopefully it'll be normal again. My body is wore out. My mind is shot.
Yeah. Busy day for Brian, man.
Yeah.
Maybe we do a comparison or something where we, compare UCF's guys to, Florida and Miami.
That I'm going to do probably next week. I'm going to do some film, but I got a tournament this weekend that I'll have you at.
Tournament
coming. It'll be next week, but those are fun, man. I really enjoy
it.
So, everybody have a great night. Talk to you later.